Hey, so we're here with Randy Carver, owner of Limitless Wrestling. Randy, thanks for coming on tonight. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, we are super pumped. Harmon and I are both attending.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Past,
on, Randy.
yeah, man, we're attending Past Your Bedtime this weekend, and we're super stoked about it. So definitely, thanks for taking the time. We got some questions for you about Limitless. We got some questions for you about Past Your Bedtime and some stuff like that. So thank you so much for coming on. First things first, I just want to kind of get a little insight on yourself and kind of how did Limitless Wrestling come about? How did you start up Limitless?
Well, I had been announcing shows around New England for a couple of years, and it got to the point where I think it was like the end of 2014, I was really feeling like I wasn't really happy just announcing shows, and I really wanted to put something on like with a higher degree than what had been done previously in the state of Maine, because I think wrestling in the state was kind of looked down upon by not only workers but fans around Maine and New England and wherever. So I really wanted to put on just a really good wrestling product because I knew it could be done here, and I knew that, I mean, it was going to take a lot of work, definitely, but like it was something that needed to happen here. So I originally tried to get it started in July last year, but September last year we had our first event. This coming Saturday is going to be our 7th. It's our year anniversary show, and we've really progressed, I think, and I'm really happy to say that over the first year from where we started. We were in Brewer, now we're in Orono, but we have a really great, fan following, whether it's in Maine or around New England, and definitely year one has been like definitely exceeding my expectations.
Nice. That's awesome. And where else have you guys done shows besides or have you guys done shows besides up in the Orono area? Have you guys kind of ventured out into New
It's
England?
really been in central Maine right now. I'm
Yeah.
actually trying to get to somewhere around the Portland Gorham area, probably for 2017. But we had our first event in Brewer, and ever since then it's been at the American Legion in Orono, which is a beautiful venue. But I think it'll definitely benefit us, and I think we'll bring in a bigger crowd from maybe southern New England if we can get, a solid building in Portland, Gorham, wherever.
Yeah. Is the location been kind of a challenge for you at all? Because I know kind of I don't know, northern Maine doesn't have like, it's not the easiest place to get to, I'd say. So have
Yeah,
you had, is it challenging?
it's just a long drive for people, and that's been the biggest problem, whether it's been wrestlers or whether it's been fans, because last show, for example, we ended up adding a match actually like 20 minutes before the show because there were wrestlers there. They weren't competing. They didn't have a match, but they came for the show. So I added a match because we had wrestlers running late. But that's what happens because whether it's an accident or hitting Boston traffic, if I've got wrestlers coming from New York or Connecticut or wherever, and they hit some sort of traffic, like it's definitely more of a burden to get to Orono than it would be to Portland. And I think in way, like, I know I send tickets to fans who are coming from Rhode Island to this next show. That's like a 6-hour drive one way. So
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy but I think Portland would, or somewhere in the southern Maine area would make it easier. So then we could flip flop back and forth from Portland to Orono. So we could hit both, like pretty much both halves of Maine.
Yeah. Do you ever get talent that like kind of turns it down because of the drive? I was thinking about that today, and I was like, man, I wonder how difficult it is to kind of get wrestlers up there. If they're just like, that's a little far for me, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was Jonathan Gresham last time. Was really surprised because I think he drove from Philly,
Oh
and
wow.
that's a long drive for the show. So he was just surprised. I mean, he got there on time and everything, but I get a lot of wrestlers who, if it's their first time working with us, they're very surprised at how long the drive is. Because I think when a lot of people might take the booking and they think it's in Maine, they're like, it might be, on the coast or near Portland or Augusta or something. Well, it's a couple hours north of that. So
Yeah. Yeah. People don't realize how big Maine is.
yeah,
It's
it's huge.
insane. So,
Yeah, you can drive for 6 hours and still be in the same state.
yeah, yeah, barely to Canada. So, oh man. So you were a ring announcer. Where did you announce beforehand? just around?
So I started in 2013. I got a good shot. Like, I was super new into the business. I was 15, and
Oh, wow.
luckily Maine was kind of lacking a ring announcer at that point. So I kind of shoved my foot in the door and got in with some local promotions around here. So pretty much by the end of my first year, I was announcing for most of the companies in Maine, which was, I think, only 2 or 3 at that time. Ring announcers kind of lack around New England. Other than Rich Palladino, there's really none of noteworthy that I can think of off the top of my head, other than like local promotions might have their guy. But it got me a lot of opportunities to go around. I've announced for Beyond Wrestling, Paragon League, Tier 1 Wrestling in New York. So it was a lot of fun actually traveling, and it's really rounded, I think, our shows, because being able to announce the shows, you know, you get to sit there and watch every match on a card. So you get the chance to watch, you know, maybe 7 to 10 matches on the show you announce, and you get to see a lot of talent that you might not have, you know, obviously if you weren't at that show, but if you were doing another role on that show, you might not have had the ability to see it. So it's opened my eyes to a lot of talent that's around New England and the tri-state area, and it was definitely a lot of fun to do. I don't do it as much anymore. I'm really focused on Limitless, and I actually just took over a promotion in the Portland area. Used to be Pro Wrestling Society, rebranded now as Let's Wrestle. So I'm really focused on building those 2 brands, and I still take bookings. I just don't go a lot of places as much as I used to.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. Congrats on the new acquisition there. That's great. Gonna be some more stuff going on in Portland. That'd be awesome. I mean, it's funny, like they mentioned, like wrestlers typically don't like to drive up there. It's funny because like Harmon and we're gonna make like I don't know, it's like a 3-hour trip for us. So it'd be nice. Portland area would be much better.
It's 3 hours from like my house to there if I drove straight, but I've got to go 2 hours to where you live, Johnny. Pick you up,
that's
drive
true.
2 hours.
Yeah. I'm like out in the middle of nowhere. I'm out in West Paris, so we are
okay.
Shot to nowhere.
Yeah.
So regarding Limitless, like what's been like your biggest challenge so far?
It's definitely got to be keeping a consistent fan base, like coming to the shows in Orono. And as much as I love the building and I love the town, it's not an ideal location for, you know, the wrestling product we're providing. I think it's everything I said earlier. Pretty much the biggest challenge has been just not convincing, but just, you know, getting fans hyped enough to drive over 3, 4, 5 hours to come to this wrestling show. And luckily we've been able to do it. Like, it's been crazy. Some of the spots that we've mailed tickets out to, we mailed 2 out to Idaho for our March show.
Oh, wow.
It's very neat to see that, but I know, like, in my head, once we are more south in the state, like, it's going to pick up. We're going to convince more people from Mass and Rhode Island, because it's shaving a couple hours off their trip. And I mean, our lowest draw so far is 130, and I'm very proud of that because we've had a very consistent, you know, draw for most of our shows. But I definitely think it's going to pick up. I think that's been the biggest challenge, is just keeping the crowds up and doing it consistently. But, you know, I'm not complaining about anything, because for doing it in Orono, Maine for so long, we've built such a, you know, loyal fan base that we have a lot of the same fans, but a lot of new fans at every show, and it's really awesome.
Do you draw in a lot of the college kids?
We do. That's why the summer like hits hard, because the college kids aren't there, but we're literally a half mile from the college. So there's usually we have the ability to poster some portions of that college. They're kind of stingy on it, but I know for a fact, because, you know, the addresses that we send the tickets to, usually when college is in session, there's like 20 to 25 college kids. So it's a little boost each time. There's probably more that I don't know about, but you can always tell when college is back in session, because we get a good boost in ticket sales.
Nice. Yeah, I've got some of our buddies that went to Orono back in the day. Like they would tell me about some crazy wrestling stories. bring your own weapon matches.
We just had one of those matches last show.
Oh, you did?
We did,
awesome. Yeah. This was this was probably like 10 years ago now, but that's awesome. Those sound pretty interesting. I don't know. I don't know how much I'd want to be sitting in the front row of that show, but
they get wild, man.
Yeah, that
matches get nuts.
So tell me, man, what's something that you thought was going to be a challenge, but like it actually worked out like pretty easily? Is there anything that like you found is about running a wrestling promotion that you thought would be a challenge?
Actually, like booking some of like top tier guys that we've brought in has been like super easy, because when I was first starting everything, it was again like a challenge because Maine had sort of a wishy-washy reputation with wrestlers, because for those that worked shows in Maine over the past, I would say 10 to 15 years, there hasn't really been something, solid and reliable around the state. Like there's been long-lasting companies for sure, but not always up to the caliber of these wrestlers that I'm bringing in most of the shows. But it's been kind of easy to work with guys like Chris Hero, Zack Sabre Jr., and we have a great working relationship with Beyond Wrestling and Blitzkrieg Pro as well. So we're able to, if they're coming in on a Sunday for a Beyond show, we were able to snag some guys for Saturday as well, make it easier on both parties. But just working with talent has been super easy. And I didn't really know, because I had worked with a few local companies doing some booking previously, like figuring out travel negotiations and a bunch of stuff. But it ended up, it's fucking frustrating. Like there's a lot of time really pisses me off, but it's actually been very easy dealing with talent, because you're working with professionals here. They're running their own business, if you think about it. So when you work with professionals, it's a super easy process.
Nice. Yeah. We were both, I think Harmon and I were both pretty I guess maybe surprised, because we just hadn't seen much or really any of Limitless before. But when the match card was kind of announced, and you're kind of slowly like announcing like talent who's going to be there, one name that definitely stood out was Mike Bennett to be at Past Your Bedtime. And we're like, whoa, Mike Bennett, like holy cow! Like we just didn't really accept or expect that kind of talent to kind of make the trip, I guess. It was a little surprising. And then looking at the rest of the card too. It's great. I keep referring to it as just a stacked card, because it looks really good through and through. Lince Dorado recently signed with WWE. It's just crazy, like to think that those guys are going to be, in our backyard. So,
right.
Really cool.
I always try to bring in like one thing that I pride our shows on is that I try to make each one different than the last one, whereas we have a really ever-changing roster. So if a guy, like, it's very competition based. If a guy's not succeeding, in Limitless Wrestling, and we will probably swap him out for a show or two. The rosters change a lot depending on the wins they get and the popularity with the fans. So it's a lot of what they want to see, and it's a lot of how good they're doing in Limitless Wrestling. So the big thing is that each show is different than the last. And this one, obviously, we have, Cruiserweight Classic competitor now on the Raw Cruiserweight division, Lince Dorado. Impact Wrestling's Mike Bennett. Ring of Honor's Veda Scott. There's a lot of new names on this card, and I'm really excited about this one.
Well, one name that I'm super interested in is a guy that I've heard in about 90% of indie wrestling stories, and he was all over Twitter this past weekend at Johnny Gargano's wedding, is Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor's a goof. I'm so excited to have him. He was a guy I wanted to bring in early on.
Did you see the picture of him and Matt Cross kissing as Johnny and Candice LeRae were kissing for like their wedding picture?
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they photobombed it with like the rest of the wedding party behind them.
That's great.
Yeah, man, we're super pumped about it. Like I said, the card is stacked. It's just there's some huge names on it. Lindsay Dorado, Mike Bennett. Yeah, Chuck Taylor. I was the same way. I was like, whoa, Chuck Taylor, cool. Veda Scott is so awesome. She's adorable. We love her. And another big name too, actually, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that your main event is going to be Ace Romero versus AR Fox. I'm not sure if that's going on last as a main event or not, but it's
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, okay, because their first encounter was, whew, man, that was a barn burner. So
Yeah.
I really love that match.
We've been lucky enough to have Fox twice so far, and he has such a crazy schedule because he actually runs a wrestling school in Atlanta now. Mr. Hughes actually used to run it.
Oh, cool.
But he's actually trained by Mr. Hughes, but he runs it now. It's the WWA 4 Academy in Atlanta. And that's actually where Apollo Crews came out of.
Nice.
Nice.
So it's got some good credentials with it, with who's come out of that school. He's running it now. And he puts on, he's there training pretty much every day that he's not on the road. And they run free shows every Thursday at the Academy. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Fox is out wrestling. So he's a fucking lunatic, absolute lunatic. And it's awesome when we can get him in for Limitless shows because he's got such a hectic schedule now. And he's going to be on a lot of TVs pretty soon. But him and Romero was nuts in January. And it was a big test for Romero because other than Fox, he never really had someone. I mean, Fox is one of the craziest high flyers in the game, and Romero never really has wrestled someone such just that crazy cruiserweight style yet. So it was a big test for him for his endurance, athleticism, everything. And Romero snuck by him, but I'm not sure if he can do it again. He's undefeated. He's 6-0. He's the top of the line. No pun intended. He's the ace of Limitless Wrestling right now. Anthony Green not far behind at 5-0, but Romero has had some stiff competition. So anything goes now. It's going to be fucking nuts. And we're going to see if Romero really lives up to the hype. If he can make it to 7-0, I'm not sure what's going to stop him.
Yeah, that's awesome. We were trying to get Ace on the show. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Just timing and stuff. He seems like a great guy. I've talked to him a bunch. He's from Saco, which I've got a soft spot in my heart for Saco. My parents are both from Saco, so that's kind of where we started the conversation off. And he just seems like a good guy, and I'm really excited to see him wrestle live. Is there anybody else on the card besides like the big names that we mentioned, like Lindsay Dorado or Mike Bennett? Like anybody, like a local guy that you're kind of either excited to see or perform at Past Your Bedtime, or somebody that we should kind of have on our radar when we go there to be like, oh, check this guy out. This guy's going to, make your socks go up and down. Anybody?
There's quite a few, actually. I get really excited having new guys on the card. Just, it's a chance for them to prove what they can do. And Kingpin Brian Malonis is one that stands out. He was huge. Like when I was growing up, he was the guy of Chaotic Wrestling, and he was for years. He was pretty much only wrestling at Chaotic for quite some time. He's recently branched out. You see him doing Beyond Wrestling a lot now, Atlantic Pro. He's just going everywhere right now, which is great because he's 6'5". He's like nearly 400 pounds. He's a monster. So he's going to do some big things, I think, this coming year. I know he has a Ring of Honor tryout coming up soon. So he's going to be on the show. An upstart, a young guy, Tyler Nitro from New York, trains quite frequently with JT Dunn at Dunn's Dojo. Danger Kid and Aiden Agro, they make their tag team debut. They've been with Limitless since day one, whether it was ring crew or wrestling. They'll be on it. That guy, Scotty Slade, who's been a long-time New England guy who I've watched a lot, throughout the years. This will be his Limitless Wrestling debut. I want to say nearly 70% of the card, like the wrestlers compiling this card, are making their Limitless debut on Saturday. So it's going to be a real refreshing card and a really neat one.
Nice. That's awesome. Who's stepping up to take on Mike Bennett? I know you guys had like somebody couldn't make it, right? And
yeah. So
yeah.
we were in talks with a wrestler named Chris Ridgway, who was actually going to be over for 3 weeks from the United Kingdom. And he was going to be here on a tour. However, a lot of the dates didn't end up panning out for him, so it was really going to be a hit if he ended up coming for the tour, so that got canceled. So we're giving that opportunity to the mind eraser Mike Grassa, who has been wrestling since he was like a young teenager. He's super young, but he's been wrestling for like 7 or 8 years. And he's a guy frequently training with JT Dunn at Dunn's Dojo as well. He's made sporadic appearances for Beyond Wrestling on their secret shows, XWA. He's frequent at RWA. You see him at a lot of like random shows around New England, but the dude produces every time. And he made his Limitless Wrestling debut last show. And it's a big opportunity for him. I mean, you're facing a television star pretty much, Impact Wrestling star Mike Bennett. So it's definitely one of those matches where if Grassa can get the victory, he's going to solidify himself a spot in one night with Limitless Wrestling.
Yeah, that'd be huge for him, man. So it's the week of Past Your Bedtime. What are the final touches you're kind of putting on right now that you're doing? What are the loose ends you're tying up? What's going down this final week?
So we did a little bit of shuffling because we just found out about Chris Ridgway last week. So there was a little bit of a match shuffle. That's why, Grassa's moved into Ridgway's spot. We added Brian Moore onto the card. We're going to be announcing a bonus match, actually. It's going to be a 10-match card. We have 9 matches announced. So we're going to be adding on a bonus match nearing the end of this week. So the full 10-match card will be announced by Saturday. But, right now it's pretty laid back, actually, for the week of a show. I'm doing a lot of podcasts this week, which is rad. I love doing podcasts. And just really getting the word out there. I'm hitting UMO again tomorrow and EMCC to put up some posters again. I'll be on the Hardcore Loyalty Respect podcast tomorrow. This is just a lot of fun stuff going on right now, and I'm really excited about the show. It's been a year. It really hasn't felt like a year. It's just been like the blink of an eye, but it's already here, and that's what I think every show. There's one show, and then I blink, and the next one's here, which is awesome.
Nice. Yeah, man. So let's see. Harmon, you got anything over there? You're being very quiet tonight.
Yeah, I'm just listening. It's all very. I'm just looking at the card online right now and looking through to see. How about this Xavier Bell? I see he had a tough loss to Tommaso Ciampa earlier this year. Who's he going to be facing this weekend?
So he's had a rough go of it kind of lately. Started off very hot in Limitless Wrestling. He was 2-2. He's been a dude with a lot of upside. He actually started training with Biff Busick at his wrestling camp a year or 2 ago. Very new to the business. Biff Busick now in NXT, known as Oney Lorcan. But now Bell trains primarily with Brian Fury at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. He's going one-on-one with Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, who's a former Evolve Tag Team Champion. He was also a WWE Cruiserweight Classic qualifying match competitor. Didn't quite win that match, but I think he could be definitely a guy who we could see if they do the Cruiserweight Classic next year. He could be a guy that I definitely think would be in it. But the thing with Xavier Bell is I think this is his toughest test yet, because he had Tommaso, who was a guy who could outpower him, no doubt. He had Jonathan Gresham a couple months ago who defeated him. And Jonathan Gresham's a smaller guy, but he could out-wrestle Xavier Bell. But Tracy Williams is a guy who can outpower or out-wrestle Xavier Bell. So it could be a terrible situation for Xavier Bell, but it's almost like a must-win for him, because 2 straight losses off of, 2 big opportunities. If he loses this one, I don't think there's going to be a big opportunity coming soon until he earns that back.
Now, you guys have a tier system, for your wrestlers, a ranking system, or do you guys have a champion?
No, not yet. I definitely want to do a tournament. Like, I'm a big tournament fan, so I think in 2017 there's going to be some kind of tournament. But we don't really have a ranking system. It pretty much goes off of a basis of how they've been producing record-wise and what the fans are feeling from these competitors, because the fans have a big say, but also if your record's trash, you're not going to get the big opportunities that the guys are with, the undefeated streaks or the one-loss records. That's why, you see Ace Romero, who's 6-0, he's getting AR Fox. Anthony Green, he's 5-0, he's wrestling Chuck Taylor. If these guys are producing consistently, they're going to go up against, some of the top tier talent that we're bringing in.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. Totally. Harmon mentioned Ciampa, and I heard you mention earlier. You mentioned Chris Hero. I know both of those guys have done commentary on cards and stuff like that for you guys. Is anything like that coming up in the future? You have any big names that you just bring in mostly for commentary, or do those guys wrestle on the cards as well?
Mostly, we usually revolve wrestlers in and out of commentary. I've done a few matches myself. It's tough. Like, I think we're bringing in a new announcer actually in October, so I can get a lot more stuff done during the shows. But we have our town guy, Ethan Scratchfield, actually commentates a lot. A local wrestling personality, the captain. But other than that, it's mostly wrestlers who are on the card. They kind of revolve back and forth out of doing commentary. I know Chris Hero's done a few. JT Dunn has done quite a few as well. So it's really, and I think it really adds to the matches, especially on the DVDs, because it's a different commentary team each match, and it's different wrestlers, and I think it makes it very interesting to listen to. Yeah,
it's definitely entertaining. I enjoyed both Ciampa and Hero doing commentary. Ciampa was hilarious, like just ridiculous. So I wanted to touch on one thing. Lince Dorado is doing something before the show, right? It's like a training thing or something, like before Past Your Bedtime.
Yeah, definitely.
What's going on with that?
So he's doing a training seminar from 2:30 to 6 o'clock. And this is open to any, skill level that you have within wrestling, if it's your first day or if you're a current professional wrestler. It's open to – there's a few spots available. I think we only have 3 spots left because we're not going to overfill it. But it's $40 for the seminar. It's a 3.5-hour seminar with Lindsay covering pretty much everything that – and it is basically going to be question-based, so – it's going to be kind of like a round table of stuff that you want to work on in the ring. Any questions you might have, it's open to wrestlers, trainees, and referees. And if you want more information on it, you can definitely message us on the Limitless Wrestling page, facebook.com/Limitless Wrestling, or you can send us an email, randycarver@yahoo.com. Either way, it's going to be, I think it's 3 spots. Don't quote me on it. It's either 3 or 4. Space available.
Yeah, is that something that that you guys came up with, or that he presented, he brought to the table? How did that whole thing come about?
Yeah, so if we've done it before. Actually, Chris Hero did it in January. We always have a training seminar before our shows. So if you do want to train with us, definitely send us a message. We can give you all the info. But before every show, there is a training seminar. It's usually 3 hours long. It depends on, what talent is there. Ace Romero's run them in the past. Chris Hero, Scott Wilde. It's usually somebody different every time. I think it definitely will. The seminars are very rounded because of that, because, 1 month you might be with Chris Hero, the next you might be with Lince Dorado. You're learning new things from different people, from different experiences. So there's a lot of good opportunities to train with us. Definitely send us a message if you're interested, and I can pretty much give you about a month's heads up of what the deal is and who's going to be training.
There you go, Johnny.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel like
Flyweight Johnny Kucha.
I know. I feel like Dorado would be the guy that I'd have to learn from. I'm tiny, man. I have to fly around that ring. I feel like Harmon, you benefit from Romero. I feel like you guys are gonna be twin towers or something. The second coming of Akeem and Big Boss Man. So.
Oh man.
How do you like that reference, huh? Look at that reference.
How big is Ace Romero? Because I can't seem to find a tail of the tape on the guy.
For Romero?
Yeah.
I believe, I want to say 6 foot. He might be a tick under 6 foot, and I want 100 and maybe 20 pounds.
320?
Oh,
yeah.
Just a little guy.
He's fluctuated between like 300 and 320.
Harmon, you got him beat, man. You're good.
I do.
Yeah.
You got a spot for a guy who's 6'3", 400 pounds.
0 wins.
Put you in the ring with Brian Malonis and see what happens.
There you go. Send Harmon in there to get mopped. Be like, it'll be CM Punk all over again.
I'll be the biggest jobber ever.
Nice. Cool, man. Harmon, do you have any other questions specifically about Past Your Bedtime?
I do. So Veda Scott, she's wrestling. What is it? Davienne? How do you say that?
Dan, she's actually another product of the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Head trainer Brian Fury, and they've actually met before in New England. So this is the second time ever meeting. But we're actually catching Veda Scott right before she heads to Japan. She's going on a little 3-week tour of Japan, so it'll be her last match in the U.S. for nearly a month, and I think that's definitely going to be a good one. Davienne is a underrated powerhouse of the females in New England, and definitely going to have a chance to shine in Limitless Wrestling with this match.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we're big fans of women wrestling, and I like Veda Scott a lot. I think she's super adorable, but she's like super hardcore too. Like some of the stuff she does, I'm like, geez, oh my God, like come on. Yeah, man, pumped about that match. So moving on to just a few things, I always ask like people these kind of questions, and I don't know why I find it so interesting, but I think it's kind of relatable too. Any kind of walks of life, the people that are into wrestling, like we've interviewed people that make action figures. We've interviewed people that like run monthly subscription boxes. We've interviewed just a bunch of people kind of like on the fringe of wrestling, on top of actual pro wrestlers themselves. But I always like to kind of get people's like favorite wrestlers growing up, kind of compared to now. So Randy, who are some of your guys or gals growing up watching wrestling?
So I, being as young as I am, I didn't get into wrestling until like 2005.
That's
so I'm big time Shawn Michaels guy when I was first watching. Following, I actually introduced into independent wrestling quite early in my viewing career of wrestling, I guess. Because when Ring of Honor was having the television shows on HDNet, that was pretty much the thing that I would watch the most, because it'd be on I think it was a half hour or an hour program before Raw. And so I'd watch, that'd be like 3 hours straight of wrestling at that time. And I really enjoyed the Ring of Honor product. I was a big Kevin Steen fan time, because that was around the time frame when he was Ring of Honor champion. But now, like old school, there's a lot of guys from just different spots, but like some of my favorites right now, Johnny Saint, William Regal, Finley. I love going back and watching their old stuff. I like watching wrestling. I don't watch it nearly as much as I used to, but I'm a big fan of really any genre. But Shawn Michaels and Kevin Steen were the two big guys when I was younger.
That's awesome. Yeah, big thanks for Steen right now, obviously as Owens and WWE. Harmon, you like him a little.
I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan too.
I say, Harmon, you like him a little bit, right? Like just casually. Harmon's a freak about him. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I love it. I love kind of just getting that take on what people like. We're a little bit older, so we kind of go back a little bit with like the Hogans and Macho Mans and stuff. And I don't know. Actually, that's a fun question. Who do you got? You got Randy Savage or Randy Orton? Who do you like better, Randy?
I'm going with Savage. I'm a big
Savage. All right.
I'm a big fan of watching, like, some of the stuff was just kills me to watch, but I do enjoy like going back and watching like some of the pay-per-views from like the 1980s and early 90s. It's fun to watch. Like for me, it's fun to watch and pick out stuff of how much wrestling has transitioned since then, but I always find myself like really enjoying Savage's matches. And To be honest, I've really never been a big Orton guy. Not since he was like doing he was the Intercontinental Champion with Evolution. Since then, I had never really been invested in him.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Randy Orton, but I kind of feel the same way. Like they've kind of never really used him properly. They always kind of miss with him a little bit, but I too would choose Savage. I am a huge Randy Savage mark. I think I have more Randy Savage t-shirts than any other wrestler. Kind of embarrassing to admit, but and when I wear them out in public, which I often do, I definitely either get like the look of like, hey, I kind of know that's a Slim Jim guy, or like a big oh yeah, like yelled at me from like a.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, hey,
Slim Jim with the oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I just hand out a business card and say, hey, listen to my podcast. You know who Randy Savage? There you go.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So cool, man. Yep.
Anybody listening out there, are there tickets still available for Past Your Bedtime?
Yes. Front row has been sold out now for about 3 weeks, but you can get general admission seats. By this time, they will not be mailed out just in case. I don't know. Mail's weird sometimes, and they don't send it for a couple days, or it just takes a while. So I usually don't send past Wednesday morning. So they will be held at the door, though. All you have to do is show your PayPal receipt if you do buy them. But www.limitlesswrestling.com/store. I would suggest getting them. We've sent out, I think we're over the 160 mark right now of tickets sent, and we can, the building capacity is 300. So we have a lot of people who show up at the door for tickets. It's never a bad idea to just have them purchased, before you get there. So if you do want to get them, that link is going to be on the website until Saturday morning. So you got a few days.
$10 general admission for 10 matches. It's $1 a match.
That's great math. Good math, Harmon. I like it.
That's my Waterboro math kicking in.
Yeah, there you go. So we threw up a little. I threw up like a quick little Facebook thing near late in the day today. So I got one question for you from our good buddy Reno, and he. I figured it'd be a nice question to kind of end on. He wants to know what's the most rewarding part of running Limitless Wrestling.
Honestly, it's being able to get out of the ring and the bell rings and the match starts and whatever, and just being able to like scan the crowd and watch the reactions as the matches are going on. It's really the best feeling. I think that it's undescribable because it's something, Limitless Wrestling is like my baby. It's just something that I've put fucking everything into, and to watch, people enjoy it as they do is absolutely crazy. So it's always nice seeing that, and it's always nice, sending out these tickets to like people who are driving 12 hours round trip or 15 hours round trip just to come to this show. It's fucking crazy because I know I used to do the same thing for Beyond. Be like roughly a 12, 13 hour round trip. And to think that, fans are traveling those distances to come to these shows is crazy. And it's a very rewarding and just a very awesome feeling.
Yeah, man, I can only imagine when it all comes together. It's going to be awesome. Harmon and I are definitely looking forward to being there. We're going to head up early, and it's just going to be, we're going to make a lot of noise, and it's going to be fantastic. We're super pumped, man, to see our first Limitless show. So, cool, man.
I'll be the biggest guy in the room cheering. So
that's right. Yeah, you'll stand out. So, Harmon, anything else for Randy tonight?
No, I just want to thank him for coming on. This has been really good. I know I was pretty quiet, but you guys were just on a tear. So
yeah, man, it was good. It went well, smooth. I like it, man. Mad props to you, Randy. You're doing some great things. Look forward to the new promotion down in Portland. But hey, man, in the meantime, Harmon and I will make the trip up to Orono. We're looking forward to it. So where can people find you out on social media?
So I am Randy Carver Jr. on Facebook, at Randy Carver X on Twitter. For everything Limitless Wrestling, Facebook.com/Limitless Wrestling, Twitter at LW Main, Instagram at Limitless Wrestling, and pretty much any articles, anything you want to grab of Limitless Wrestling is going to be on www.limitlesswrestling.com. That's where our tickets are available, T-shirts, DVDs, anything pretty much. And we release a lot of free content, like AR Fox and Ace Romero, their first time ever encounter. That's on for free on YouTube. So youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. We've got about, I think, 13 or 14 free matches, as well as recaps of every show so far. So definitely go give that a look.
Nice. Yeah, I know I've watched that Romero Fox match like numerous times now. It's so good. So, and that's where I've seen it on YouTube. So awesome stuff, man. Again, we're looking forward to it. We will see you on Saturday, my man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.